Hello, I'm Dr. Laura Murillo, President and CEO of the Houston Hispanic Chamber of Commerce, Executive Producer and host as we celebrate 15 years on the air here with our friends at KHOU 11 and also on Audacy Radio. We're so thankful to our media partners, and we're so happy to be hosting our Houston Legends today. With us is none other than Elizabeth Gonzalez Brock. She's a dear friend to myself and so many other people in this great city, and we're so proud of the work that she's doing for Metro. Thanks to John Whitmire, our mayor. He's appointed her as the first Latina to serve as chair of Metro. Our transit is critically important, and she's absolutely the right person to be at the helm. So we want to talk to you a little bit more about Elizabeth, her role as chair with Metro, and the many other great things that she's doing at Centerpoint and within the city. Elizabeth, thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me here. This is such a great honor to be here.
Well, congratulations. You are one of our Houston legends, not only for what you're doing now, but what you've been doing, your career trajectory. And what a phenomenal story that you served as an intern to John Whitmire, our mayor. And fast forward, here you are heading up our transportation system at a time that couldn't be more important. So let's talk about that, Metro Now, and some of the plans that you've got, and certainly World Cup prep and making sure that we're ready to go.
Well, first of all, we are, our mayor is very clear about his expectations. First, our people first, right? We need to make sure that we have a robust transit system that is functioning for Houstonians. And so we are focused on core services and core experiences. When I take a look at our ridership and what we need to increase ridership, it's making sure that we're doing what we can in terms of making sure our riders feel safe. Mm-hmm. If people don't feel safe, they're not going to ride Metro. We want to make sure that our people also have, we know that everybody has options. Mm-hmm. You can take your car, or you can take Uber. We want Metro to be the preferred option, and in order for us to do that, we have to be easy to use. Yes. Because you know as well as I do, if it's not one click away, if you have to do 2 or 3 clicks, people move on to something else. And so when people would rather pay $50 for parking than to take the bus, that's a problem. So we're trying to address that, to provide incentives and provide an experience for people that it is easier to take Metro, and that Metro is a cleaner, more reliable option than taking your car. So we want to provide those options for people.
So much of what you just mentioned is going to be reliant on technology. Mm-hmm. So what are you all doing as it relates to technology, and also benchmarking with other great cities that do have excellent transportation?
I'm so glad you asked that question. Interestingly enough, we just came from a meeting where we were talking about AI. Mm-hmm. We have all this data, but what are we going to do with that data? And the beauty about AI is that it doesn't necessarily give you 100%, but it can get you 80% of the way there, and then you can tweak it in order to understand what your traffic plan is going to be, or where you need to focus, what your focus areas are going to be. And so we're taking a deep look at how AI can help us get there faster. When we talk about now, we don't have time to waste. The World Cup is a year from now. Yes. And so we need to make sure that we have a transit system that is robust, and because the rest of the world is used to taking transit, right? And so we need to make sure that when people come to see Houston, it's a seamless transition, and that we're ready to serve people in the way they're used to being served.
Right. So you talked about safety. Mm-hmm. We see Metro Police all over the place. Has anything changed that is going to help make sure that we continue to be a safe city as it relates to Metro?
Absolutely. So the first thing we did was we appointed a new police chief. Chief Banton could not be more proud of the direction that he's taking Metro. He is so passionate about his job. One of the things that he said to our newly sworn in cadets was, remember that whenever you are interacting with a person that you're probably going to be meeting them on the worst day of their lives. And that is just such an important message for people to understand that our police force, we want to make sure that we have a police presence, so that we have police presence on the rail, we have police presence on our bus system. We also are decentralizing our police station and having trailers in different substations in different areas where there's hot spots. He's working on having a mobile unit so that we can take our police presence to where it's needed the most, because we know that when the bad guys see police presence, they're going to move, right? So we want to move to where they are as well. So when you see that police presence, they're there to make sure that people feel safe. Also, another thing that we're doing is we've contributed $10 million to the mayor's homeless initiative. And so we want to make sure that our transit, our bus shelters are being used for their stated purpose, not as a place for people to take shelter. And we want to get those people the help that they need so that they're able to get into wellness programs. So we're working with the city, we're working with the county in order to make sure that they're getting the help that we need, and so we can get focused on the work that we need to do.
Metro is so important in terms of these big events, one of which is the rodeo, a big role that you all play. Every time there's a rodeo, I'm sure there are lessons learned, and these all are experiences that are going to prepare us for the World Cup. So let's talk about that, and let's assure folks that Metro is ready.
Absolutely. So when we take a look at these events, we know that Houston is booming. People are coming here. We have conventions, we have the rodeo, and it's a really good example of how we should be operating on a daily basis, right? People should be getting out of their cars, should be taking transportation, and so we're looking at that experience and making sure that we not only have the transportation available, but that we have improved services, and that when the event's gone, guess what? You're going to find that everything is clean and everything is operating as it should be, as opposed to the event's gone and then it's like there's a mess left over. No, we're going to make sure that it is a seamless transition between events. We can scale up and we can scale down.
And let's remember, it also plays a vital role with our senior citizens who need to get to appointments to the medical center. And I don't think there's enough focus on that, or that people understand how easy, how convenient it can be.
So one of the things that we're doing is implementing our community connector. So we've had this program in place. It's in pilot form for over a year and a half now, where it's an on-demand service where it operates much like Uber, where you use your app or you can call in and to pick you up and take you to where you need to be within your community. So we're seeing people utilize it for after-school programs, to get to the grocery store. If you can imagine being a mother of 3 or 4 and having to carry groceries at the same time, I know that's what my mother went through. So being able to have a community connector take you to the grocery store, bring you back, go to a doctor's appointment, after-school program, it is a very, very increasingly popular service that we're providing to solve for that first and last mile, because oftentimes the weather makes it even more challenging to travel long distances.
So we know that closing of a street, repairs on the street can cause growing pains, and you've had to make some tough decisions that were fixes that needed to occur, that perhaps were not popular but were the right thing to do. So what are some of the things that you're learning as chair in terms of your leadership?
So one of the things that I'm learning is that the transit industry is used to focusing on the growth of infrastructure versus the growth of ridership. And so we have doubled down on our focus on what's important to our customers, what's important to our community, and how we can help with mobility across the board. So not just focused on, we're focused on how we as a transit can provide better service. So if the roads are bumpy, if you can imagine being in a nice car, the road is bumpy, but then when you're in a bus, it's even bumpier. So we want to make sure that we provide a smooth ride. So we're looking at, paving the surfaces of the roads, also paving the sidewalks so that people, when they're walking to the bus shelters, making sure that the bus shelters are clean. So their overall experience, and making sure that traffic is moving. So we're also working with the City of Houston on synchronizing the lights in order to keep everything moving, because the one thing that Houston is experiencing is tremendous growth.
Yes.
And so we need to make sure that we are doing our part to coordinate with our stakeholders to keep us moving.
And collaboration. So that you're talking and there's an understanding of, I imagine that it's got to be a lot of thought process to it in terms of which side of the road, and we've seen it in the news, right, where there have been opportunities that we've missed because there wasn't a conversation of when a street was going to be closed, when you could go ahead and knock it out all at once. Or I know a lot of complaints are that, how about we fix this street before we go and break up another one? So what does that conversation look like in terms of all of the collaborators that you all work with?
So we're really taking a look at just a macro view of all of the things that we need to be able to accomplish. What are the timelines? So, for example, we've got conventions coming up. We've got the World Cup coming up. We've also got the I-45 corridor that's under construction, I-10 that's under construction. So how do we do those projects in such a way to where we are being the least amount of disruption possible to the communities that we serve? We want to make sure our retail spaces are being successful and we're not holding up progress, and we want to make sure that people are able to get to where they need to be. So our on-time performance is really important. So in order to do all that, we all have to be collaborating, and we have to be making sure that we're rowing in the same direction.
Yes.
So collaboration with the mayor, with our county commissioners, TxDOT, all of that is really important.
Everyone needs to participate. So as we look ahead, what is something that you want to make sure people understand about Metro that maybe they don't?
That we have the ability to do great things. And what I mean by that is we can be transformational in people's lives when we can get somebody to their doctor's appointment, or get somebody to their to the grocery store, basic needs that are important, after school programs. That's having a transformational impact on their life. And at the end of the day, that's what we're here for. Is we can play the big picture of helping coordinate traffic and community and mobility and all those things, but at the end of the day, what's important is that we help people get to where they need to go. And so I think we can do both. We can encourage young people to take Metro, and we can host events and get people to where they need to go, or we can help transform people's lives on a daily basis that need to do what they need to do. So our reach is far, and if we challenge ourselves to do more, we can certainly do that.
Absolutely. And when we think about the downtown region, you all have done something specifically that are trying to roll out some initiatives there.
So a couple of things that we've rolled out. I've been just wildly impressed with how excited people are about our Downtown Connect service.
Yeah.
So we have a direct line from downtown to the airport, and it's been wildly popular. People said that we've needed that for a very, very long time. And so we've got that in place. We also have our Downtown Community Connector that is circulating as well. And so we're looking to expand that service into other areas and growing. So we're really, really excited.
Well, you should be, and so is Houston. And not a better time to be on top of all of this than now. You've been working on so many things throughout your career with Centerpoint, your government relations work to where you are now. You're a mother, you've got 2 young boys, and you are not only just involved in this, you're also involved with Houston First. So for you, as a young mother and a young woman, you have so much more still ahead of you. But at this point of where you are in your career as one of our Houston legends, what would you like your legacy to be?
I would like for my legacy to be that people remembered me as somebody who made a difference and somebody who cared. And, I tell people, when I meet young interns that every interaction you have with somebody is a job interview. And I want people to remember that I had an impact and that I cared and that I listened.
And you do all of those things with a velvet hammer. We're very proud of you, Elizabeth. Thanks for all that you have done. The entire Metro team is a very complex organization that is vitally critical to the success of the city. And Mayor Whitmire made an obvious, very good decision when someone could go in there, assess it, listen, and get the job done. So congratulations. Thank you for the support that you all have given to the Houston Hispanic Chamber of Commerce.
Thank you. And let me just say real quickly that I want to appreciate the work that you do to be a vessel for our voice and to deliver our message, and for being a role model to, not just to me but to all leaders in the Houston area. So thank you for all the work you do.
Absolutely. We're a small team, but we do our best to collaborate and bring the city together. We love Houston. I know you do. Go Cougs. And
Go Cougs.
Yes. Thank you so much for joining us. And we salute Elizabeth Gonzalez Brock as one of our Houston legends. Thank you. On behalf of the Houston Hispanic Chamber of Commerce Board of Directors and staff, we invite you to consider becoming a sponsor of our upcoming annual awards gala, the largest Hispanic gala in the city of Houston, where we will be recognizing some incredible individuals from our greater Houston area. The date is Saturday, November the 8th at the Thompson Hotel. Become a sponsor today. Hello, I'm Dr. Laura Murillo, President and CEO of the Houston Hispanic Chamber of Commerce. So happy to have our next guest here. His name is Ryan Walsh. You may have heard of the Houston-Harris County Sports Authority. Well, he is the President and CEO, doing a phenomenal job. He's got a long history of community and civic activity. I think nothing more challenging than what he's currently doing. Luckily, he's got a great staff, and certainly the support of our Mayor Whitmire, County Judge Hidalgo, county commissioners, and many, many others, and also the support of our chairman, Juan Garcia, and a staff that's second to none. So, Brian, welcome.
Hey, thank you so much. And don't forget to mention you're a board member too. We count on you as well. You're a big part of this.
Well, it has been an exciting ride, and certainly the 1 year celebration was over the top and exciting for our sponsors, exciting for the media, young people, volunteers, soccer fans, and people who've never heard of the World Cup are excited. And from a business perspective, we've been working very closely with your team to make sure that they participate in our chamber activities with an expo, information on how they can register, not just for the World Cup, which is significant, but all the many other events throughout the year that you all and that the teams are involved with here. So I'm going to stop there and just ask you to give people a real high level of where we are and what needs to happen between now and the World Cup next year.
Hey, thank you. And thanks so much for having me. I appreciate it. And you touched on something I think is very important, is that it is an opportunity for our local business, for Houston, to be a part of not just the World Cup coming up, but everything that the Sports Authority does. Houston has hosted more major events than any other city in the country since 2004 major events. And just since 2019, the economic impact of the Sports Authority's events is $1.2 billion. Now, that pales in comparison, I tell you, from a time perspective, in that the economic impact of the World Cup here in Houston alone is estimated to be $1.5 billion. So there's plenty to go around. We want the local businesses in Houston to be involved. FIFA is going to come in and have all the fun, but then they leave town. And Houstonians and the rest of us are going to be here, and we want to make sure that we're here to thrive long after the event comes, and certainly available for the next event that comes. So the Sports Authority has a lot going on. We're very busy, World Cup notwithstanding. That's the kind of the big elephant in the room. But We can't forget about AAU Junior Olympics. That's 15 to 20,000 students and their families from all over the country descending on Houston for about 10 or 12 different types of events that are going to be held all over the city of Houston at the end of the July and early August. We've got World Baseball Classic, we've got Battle of the Bands, and we've got a Sweet 16 at Toyota Center. And all of that happening before World Cup in 2026. So we're excited about it.
Right. And certainly great opportunity to continue to work with our local law enforcement, Metro, so many entities that all have their hands on all of these upcoming events, and you need volunteers. And people are asking how they can get involved. They're asking how they can do business. We encourage folks to visit the website so that you can get information. Come to the chamber events. They always have a representative there as well to answer questions. And Ryan, as you mentioned, the legacy that this will leave behind, the footprint, right? Once the World Cup is gone, the footprint in terms of soccer fields and things of that nature. Talk about that a little bit.
No, you're absolutely right. And this is the largest sporting event in the history of the world. And certainly for Houston, it's a generational sporting event, and we want it to last long after. Part of what the World Cup in Houston and our host committee is doing is what we call grow the game, right? We want to grow the game of soccer in Houston. In order to do that, we're working with all four of our county commissioners and getting a little more than 20 of the parks that they have. We are going to provide for the rejuvenation of those soccer pitches in those parks, and we're creating a free soccer program for youth. Now, I mean free, and as you know, soccer is a pay-to-play sport. You've got to pay for the equipment, for the team, for the uniform just to get there. This is going to be absolutely free, and it's not going to be just a couple of kids on a soccer pitch playing an actual organized league for everybody, right? For all of the youth in Harris County and Houston. And it's going to last long after the FIFA World Cup here is here at NRG Stadium, and we're excited about that. It's an opportunity to continue the love of soccer in Houston for everybody, not just those who can afford to play.
Absolutely. And certainly from the standpoint of being on the international stage, that people who perhaps have never been to Houston will come back. This is not just a one stop for them, and that they see the great things that the city has to offer, the hospitality, of course. And so, Ryan, to you, the team, the board, everyone who has touched this to make it a reality, we are so grateful, especially from the business community, that folks will be able to not only showcase Houston, but also serve their business, and Houston continue to be the hub of entrepreneurship that it has been. So my thanks to you, Ryan, and of course to our chairman, Juan Garcia, and team.
Thank you very much. Appreciate you having me.
On behalf of the Houston Hispanic Chamber of Commerce Board of Directors and staff, we'd like to invite you to register for our Data Summit and Business Expo on Thursday, August 21st from 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. at the Thompson Hotel. Learn more about data that's relevant and important to this great city there at the Thompson Hotel, again at the Houston Hispanic Chamber of Commerce Data Summit and Business Expo. Hello, I'm Dr. Laura Murillo, President and CEO of the Houston Hispanic Chamber of Commerce. We have a very special guest today, Rick Campo, very familiar with our city and our leadership, of course, because he's worked so extensively for decades, making sure our city is vibrant, strong, that our economy is good, and that Houston can do business. He chairs the Port Houston Authority Board. He's going to talk just a little bit about that, and also CEO of Camden. Rick, thanks for joining us.
I'm glad to be here. Thanks for inviting me.
Absolutely. So I last saw you at the Kinder Institute, where you were recognized for the many, many things that you were involved with, including your role with HISD and so much more. And you're recognized often because people understand that it's not just the professional role that you play as an entity that has done so much here in Houston, and it's been very philanthropic. But then on your own time as well, you're doing all of these community activities, and you have been in key leadership roles, everything from heading up our Super Bowl to so much more, Rick. And first, let me say thank you, congratulations for all that you've done. But talk to us about that, your leadership roles, and why you continue to serve.
Well, it's pretty simple. It really is about giving back to the community that has been so good to me and my family here in Houston. When I first moved here, coming up on 50 years next year, I came to the city like most people do. I didn't have a job. I didn't have, much. I probably had two nickels I could rub together in my pocket, and I just needed to figure out, how to make my way, in the community. And over the years, it's been really, really good to me. And I think that part of the responsibility that we have as I think just people in general is that we need to make our communities better, and so there are people before me that did a lot of really good things that allowed my company and my business and my family to thrive. And like, for example, what you do every day with the chamber. I mean, it's a journey that we all are on, and the question is, where are you going to be part of that, or how are you going to be part of that journey? And for me, getting involved in civic things was part of the sort of payback, but also it's a lot of fun to get involved in interesting things, and it's a way to kind of keep relevant too.
Yes, well, it is a lot of fun. And it is also very rewarding, as I'm sure it was for you when we had the Super Bowl here. And I was part of the group that collaborated with you all. And it was a great success. And those are monumental feats, right?
Well, and now you have the World Cup coming that you're
Yes,
involved in, right?
yes. I'm
That'll be
very
fun.
fortunate. That's a lot of fun. It's going to be a phenomenal economic driver for our city. Every one of those matches is the equivalent of one Super Bowl. And so the leadership at the Sports Authority, our mayor, our
Mhm.
elected officials, others, Chris Canetti, Ryan Walsh, and so many, even before that entire group, so
Sure.
many people in this great city
Mhm.
brought that here, and I'm glad to be a small part of that team. But I want to talk to you a little bit now about certainly the port. It's a
Sure.
huge economic driver. You've
Mhm.
been very involved there. What should folks know about the Port of Houston?
Well, it is interesting because when you think about Houstonians, right, the 7+ million people that live in this region, not many people know a lot about the port. They know that it's there. They know that we're close to the ocean, 52 miles away, by the way, which is where the size of the channel. But they don't realize that pretty much every consumer good, whether it be clothing or whatever people use, comes through the port. So the port has been vital for Houston for forever. It's over 100, I think 110 years old now since it was first dredged. Excuse me. And the thing that's really interesting about the port that I really love about it is that it's really a job creator. It's probably, when you think about the Houston economy, you think of oil and gas as one part, medical as another part. Medical center is obviously the biggest medical center in the country, and then the port is kind of the third leg of the stool. And there's an old saying that Houston is the city that built the port, and the port is the entity that built the city. Because without the ability to for commerce to flow, then you just don't have growth. And so the port, just for a couple of important stats, it's roughly $439 billion of economic value, almost 20% of the Texas GDP, and responsible for like 1.9 million jobs in our region. So when you think about it, it's just massive. And the way I think about the port, and the reason I got involved in the port was that it is an incredible asset to our region, and we just have to be stewards of that asset to make sure that we continue to grow it. And because when we grow the port, we grow jobs and we improve the community overall. It's pretty hard to have a high quality of life if you don't have a job, and the port provides a lot of jobs and a lot of high quality life for Houstonians. So that's why I'm involved in it.
And certainly requires a lot of different entities, that collaboration, et cetera. And
No
they've been a
question.
big part of this chamber as a sponsor
Mhm.
of this chamber. And we encourage folks to visit the website. There's opportunities for businesses, for vendors. They provide a lot of some of the first small business programs in the city were started at the
Mhm.
port. So it's
Our
important.
small business program is over $1 billion now
Yes,
in terms
very.
of commitments to small business.
Yes, and so it makes a big difference in our
Mhm.
region and across the country and globe. Rick, HISD, certainly that's been a topic of great interest to many. We saw some recent reports about stars and the scores going up. but at the same time can be very polarizing. So from your perspective as an individual who's leading the helm of the volunteers over there, tell us what folks should know.
Well, I think the HIC is a very interesting entity and definitely a political topic. The challenge you have when you make substantial change is that
Yes.
you're going to bother someone. So it's kind of the old adage of who moved my cheese, right? And so unfortunately, HISD had underperformed for our students for decades, and we had this massive gap between white nation students and black and brown students. I mean, massive gap, like 38 points of differential in terms of their grade level expectations. And so the state intervened and came in and appointed the board of managers, and I'm the president of the board of managers. And what we've been trying to do is we've been trying to prove that through systemic change that we can move the needle and we can actually help underachieving students actually achieve. And if you look at the last 2 years, we have moved the needle faster and more aggressively than ever has been done in America. We just got our high school star numbers that just came out, and we went from 38% of our kids passing Algebra 1 to 51%. And by the way, a 2 or 3 percentage point per year is gold in the school districts. But if you start talking about 38 points to 38% to 51%, that is just never heard of in America. And so the thing that's really important about that, and a lot of people talk about test scores and they worry that that test scores are not all that they should be. But at the end of the day, I use Algebra 1 as a good example because Algebra 1 is the algebra is the math area that really is a predictor for kids and how they do in the future, whether it be in technical careers or going to college and things like that. And so when we can move the needle that much through systemic change, that shows that the kids are doing better, and it changes the trajectory of a kid's life if they in fact can do math, read, write, and create value long term. So we will continue on the path that we're on, which is systemic change. And I know there's going to be voices in the community that don't like what's going on, and that's always going to happen. But at the end of the day, we're focused on the kids, and we're focused on making sure we change the trajectory of lives long term. There was just recently a article in the Chronicle that Good Reason Houston came up with some math on, and they said that HIC graduates in 2017, that only 17% of them made a living wage. And when you think about that, that's 6 years after they graduated from high school. And a minimum wage, just put in context, is $20 an hour. And so if 83% of our kids can't make $20 an hour after after high school, we're just not preparing our kids for the future, and we just need to do that. And so you have to make substantial changes, and that's what we're doing.
Well, and also in terms of our community and business, bringing business here, making sure we have good public schools and that they are thriving, and change can be difficult. Facts are facts. And we're seeing the numbers and we're seeing the increases and the growing pains of going through all of this.
One of the top two reasons why, or at least on companies' lists to move here, are how are your schools? Top two, right? And so you're like, okay, well, if our schools aren't great, guess what? Companies won't move here, and we can't place the people that we need to run our companies. And that's what, when you think about schools, HISD is a workforce development entity, period, end of story. So if you measure it based on the last 20 years and how we've done in that, we've failed miserably. So it's time to change, and we're an agent of that change right now.
Well, thank you for your leadership there and so much more. You said 50 years now. Next year, you'll celebrate as a Houstonian because we claim you. But for folks that don't know you, Rick, tell them a little bit about where you're from and a little bit about your personal side.
Okay, so my father opened a restaurant here right after I got out of college in 1976. And the best thing that ever happened to me was he went broke in like 2 months. And so, or three, something like that. It wasn't a long-term deal. And so the great thing was he moved back to Dallas, and I stayed in Houston. I didn't know a soul. So I just went out and got a job. And in 1976, Houston was on fire from a job growth perspective. It was just incredible. So the first 5 years of my business career, Houston was one of the best places in America, primarily because of the oil boom after the oil embargo that happened in the 70s. And then after the next 5 years, I got a job in the real estate business, and I've only had one job out of college. So I don't count my father, so he didn't really pay me. But I got a job with the development company that built Greenway Plaza and Allen Center downtown. And over time, it's mutated into Camden. I did a leverage buyout, meaning that I bought my division of my company in the 80s, and then it's kind of grown to Camden. So you could, when you think about Camden, it's a $17 billion public company. We started with nothing, just my partner Keith Oden and I, and we built a great enterprise that's headquartered in Houston, owns apartments across America. Very well respected company. It's been on the Fortune 100 best companies to work for list for 18 years straight. As a matter of fact, this week we were named the number one company to work for in Texas by the Great Place to Work Institute for the second year in a row. So, that's a fast forward of, just starting from nothing, creating value by working hard, understanding how to build a team, and then make sure that you understand that it's really not about you, it's about your team. And so even though I'm maybe the quarterback or the coach or whatever you want to call that, I'm not the team. And without my team, we would not be a great company. So Camden's a great, I think, sort of poster company, if you want to call it that, for what you can get done in Houston without any capital, just a great idea, high integrity, hard work ethic. You can get pretty much anything done here. If you can dream it, you can get it done in Houston. And it's, the limiting factor is what you want to do personally. And part of the equation, I think, for me was that I have this kind of philosophy of never stop learning. And people, that it's easy to say, but the challenge is people just don't take risks. They don't go, oh, gee, I don't know anything about that, so how can I do that, right? When Mayor Turner, God rest his soul, called me and asked me to be involved in the port, I didn't know anything about ports. It's like, what? I know there's ships and stuff, but there's water, but at the end of the day, it wasn't that hard to figure it out. So it was new for me, and I was able to grasp it, understand it, and then be able to use my teams behind me that helped me understand it better and ramp up my learning curve. And I think that's the biggest challenge that most people have is they don't have maybe the adventurous spirit that says, maybe I can do that. And even if they don't know how to do it, I mean, I was always a fake it till you make it kind of guy. And then pretty much everybody thinks you can do anything.
Well, I think if there's one thing about you, Rick, everybody thinks you can do anything, and that's how you've been tapped so many times, and you've taken the helm, and you're a great leader. And I was just at lunch with one of your former employees, and he was talking about his exiting Camden, and that he was wanting to thank you and that you spent the time thanking him for all the projects that he's worked on. So you're a great leader, you're well respected, and we are so fortunate to have you in this great city we call Houston. The Houston Hispanic Chamber of Commerce is the leading advocate for Hispanic business in our region. In Houston, we represent over $54 billion per year in consumer spending. Our thanks to our volunteers, sponsors, board of directors, and staff as we work to advocate for business and for a stronger economy. Learn more by visiting the Houston Hispanic Chamber of Commerce website, HoustonHispanicChamber.com. Hello, I'm Dr. Laura Murillo, President and CEO of the Houston Hispanic Chamber of Commerce. We're happy to be filming our Houston Legends program. I know this is the first time that we've recognized two individuals at the same time for their philanthropic work and also for just being phenomenal leaders in our great city. You're going to learn a little bit more about them today. We're so happy to have them. Hope you enjoy the show. With us today, co-presidents of Houston PetSet, Tina Lindquist-Faust and Tama Lindquist. They've been a big part of our homeless pet crisis of Houston. They've focused so much on making sure that we have shelters They're advocating that we have legislative implementation at the local, state, and national level, and also just trying to make sure that we are combating homelessness among our pets, and that our city remains in a place where all animals can reside, can be safe, and that our population of individuals who are in this great city are also safe. So this has been at the top of their agenda of their many philanthropic community-led services. So today we want to welcome Tama and Tina. Congratulations and welcome.
Thank you.
I'm so proud of the work that you're doing. It's so important, and I don't think enough people understand the crisis really that we are in and the great work that PetSet is doing. So I'll start with you. What is PetSet?
Houston PetSet is a nonprofit organization, and it was started to raise funds for all the animal organizations, the nonprofits working on the front lines. We've done that for many years. We've raised close to $20 million. We've redistributed those funds. We've used those funds for our own programming. After a while, Tina and I realized that the problem was getting worse and not better. So what we've done now is stepped back, looked at this issue, and looked at it strategically, and how do we solve the problem of animal homelessness in Houston? It's worse here than any other major metropolitan city, and what do we do to solve the problem? So after looking at the problems, the different categories, we're attacking each of those categories in our own special way.
Yes, and among them is, of course, the advocacy, the legislative opportunity. So why don't you tell us about that and what you see as an opportunity?
Yes, Houston and the state of Texas has a lot of good laws. We have a good laws in place, but we need more. We need more to protect the animals. For starters, we need to implement and we need to enforce the existing ordinances at the city level and the laws at the state level. But then we need to continue to advocate for better protection for animals and people. At the state level, we need to stop the flow of animals into our state from other states, from puppy mills. Animals come across, they're sick. There's predatory lending at puppy stores and pet stores. We need to stop that. At the local level, we need to end backyard breeding. We need to end roadside sales. We need to do a lot of things to make our communities safer for pets and people.
But who would enforce that? For example, if someone, and I've seen it, inner loop, outer loop, people selling puppies out of the back of their trucks. So who is the enforcing agent of this?
Well, it's law enforcement because these are state laws, and but our law enforcement officers, God bless them, are so overwhelmed, and this is not a priority in their academy. So what Houston PetSet has done in the past and going forward, we have another one scheduled for July 8th, is offer training, continuing education programs for law enforcement so they become better aware and better informed about the existing ordinances and laws that they're able to enforce but are currently unaware of.
What else should people know as it relates to breeding, for example, and what that does in terms of the homelessness of animals?
A lot of people look at breeding animals as a way to increase income, but it's really driving the problem of animal homelessness because people are getting animals that are not bred in a good way. We're not against purebred animals at all, but only from healthy, good breeders, and there are a lot of them out there. But the backyard breeders, the puppy mills crossing the state lines, those are the issue. And so when you go to get a dog, please adopt. We really euthanize over 100,000 animals a year in this state. Why are we euthanizing perfectly good animals? 20% of them are purebreds. Why are we just killing off perfectly good animals and importing other sick animals to sell? And it's the enterprise. The enterprise system is broken, and it's what we're looking at and what Houston PetSet is really diving into to stop the flow of unhealthy animals.
So do you think it's a lack of awareness in terms of the consumers that are going out and buying this, that they don't understand that they're animals that can be adopted, dogs can be adopted, they just don't know this? Or How is the enterprise taking the lead instead of the adoption?
Because they're having marketing issues, they've got money to put behind it. They make it easy by having these dog stores, the pet stores, and it's sort of maybe a cultural thing where adoption isn't as sexy in the South or in
Okay.
Texas as it is in other states.
Okay.
You go to the North, there are no stray animals. We literally transport animals up there because there are no rescue animals to adopt up there.
Okay.
Houston has hundreds of thousands, literally.
Yes.
So adoption is more attractive because of marketing issues, because of education.
Okay.
In the North, people know about this more. So we that's part of our plan, is to get people to know that they can go get a perfectly healthy, wonderful, even purebred animal from your shelter, from a rescue group,
Yes.
where the personality of a dog is known because it's been in a foster home, and the health of it is known. You're not buying it from a puppy store where you don't know the background of it, and it could be a very sick dog, which winds up eventually in the shelters feeding this unhealthy system.
Okay, and we know in Houston, unfortunately, that there are a lot of stray dogs.
Yes.
And we've had deaths. We were talking about that when you arrived. Talk a little bit more about this, whether you have pets or not. This is an issue that impacts businesses, that impacts quality of life issues as well. Please.
It does. The stray animal and roaming animal populations in Houston definitely impact the quality of life here. And maybe it's not in all neighborhoods, but it's certainly in other neighborhoods. It's in areas of town where we see other socioeconomic challenges. And it's not fair to those populations. It's a public health, it's a public safety crisis. We had a little boy this week that was on the news, 12 years old, riding his bike to get away from a stray or roaming animal, went into traffic and was hit and killed by a car. It's uncivilized that we allow animals to roam freely on our streets. There have been several attacks in the past year where people have been attacked by stray dogs. We shouldn't have that. Other cities don't have it, and I don't know why, as a county, as a city, and even as a state, we allow it.
And you're working on legislation. You have a very strong relationship with Mayor John Whitmire. You have his ear. He understands it. He gets it. We're preparing for so many big events in this great city. And again, if you can't walk outside without roaming dogs, it's a big challenge. And so I know those efforts continue. What is the feedback that you're getting from those that are in the power to do something about these issues? What's the response been?
Well, Mayor Whitmire is definitely an advocate of this work. He has been before a lot of rescues were even started. He's been working on a state level to protect animals and protect people for many, many years, probably decades. So we definitely have his ear. The feedback from him is do what you can. I'm doing what I can on my part, and we've seen him work at this. We're working with the county. We'd love to have more opportunities to work with them. So far, we've not had a lot of opportunities, not been welcomed in to talk about this issue and how it can be addressed. On a state level, it's been great. We have people in power there who know this is a problem and who want to put funding towards this, who also want to change the laws because they know that the people and the pets, who are often considered family members, are suffering because of lack of awareness and lack of funding around all of these issues.
And in case it's not abundantly clear, I just want to emphasize that both of you absolutely love dogs and pets. This is protecting them. This is not trying to do away with them, but to find a system that protects them and protects people that are out there, and that we don't have homelessness. So if it wasn't clear, I just want to make sure as you're watching, that's what PetSet does. They do it because they care. Vaccinations, all of the things that need to be done, that it comes with a responsibility.
We say we domesticated them, and it's our responsibility to care for them.
Yes.
They are helpless on the streets.
Yes.
Unlike people, unlike others, really, they want to be rescued. They want to be in homes. And it's really our mission to end the overpopulation crisis we face.
Yes. I want to talk about the documentary. Tell us about it.
Oh, it was such a labor of love.
Yeah.
It came together. It's an idea we've had for years. It came together sort of miraculously, and it was an opportunity for us to tell the story of animal homelessness in Houston. And really that's what it was about. And so it's streaming on about 15 different platforms. It's called For the Animals. It talks about what the animals are facing on the street every day, what people are facing, and also what our really, really good angels, the rescue groups who are on the front lines, are doing on a daily basis to save these animals.
Yeah, so catch it. It's streaming. The name of it again?
For the Animals.
Well, you both are doing important work. So as we wrap up, I'm going to ask each of you, even though you still have many years to come, but at this point of your life, what would you like your legacy to be? I'll start with you, Dina.
100%, I want my legacy to be about solving the animal overpopulation crisis that the South faces. And I never thought about it in terms of a legacy. You know, I've just done it because it's been a passion of mine since I was a little girl, 5 years old, and I told my dad I wanted a dog farm. So I think if we can get to manageable populations, I will feel like it's all been worth it.
Thank you.
Just that I made a difference, that I made life better for some people. I've been very blessed in my life, and I hope that I reach back and pull up enough people and that their lives are better. I don't even need to know about it, but I just want other lives to be better. There's so much suffering in the world, but there's so much greatness too, and there's so much possibility.
Yes.
And let's connect those two. Let's take the possibility and the hope and the resources and connect it to those who are suffering.
And both of you have done that, and I know you'll continue to do so much more. And also on behalf of the Chamber, thank you for supporting business, the Houston Hispanic Chamber of Commerce, the work that we
Such
do,
great work.
and the introductions that you've made for our chamber so that we have a strong, vibrant business community. We're proud of each of you, and that's why our board and staff wanted to name you all Houston Legends. It's my honor to have met you all and to witness firsthand the big hearts that you have and what a great city we have thanks to people like yourselves. Congratulations, and thank you so much.
Thank you for all you do.
Thank you for joining us today as we recognize Tina and Tama for their work, their service, and their philanthropy.